Hello, beautiful people. I am Jesse the Truth, and this is,
Tierra.
and we are here with the Growth Podcast, here to talk to you about it can all be so simple. Because oftentimes I feel like we as human beings make things more complicated than they need to be. Uh, I don't really, I feel like it's habit at this point. Because again, I think that's something that we're taught when we're kids. We're awfully often like brave and like we don't think about too much. And the world and people teach us to sit there and make things more complicated than they need to. Because you ever sit there and told something to a little kid and they're just looking at you like, but why? But they ask you so many questions, you're just like, man, shut your little ass up.
Suck it up.
just listen to what I'm telling you. But again, we just make things more complicated than they need to. It can be extremely simple, but again, it's just habit. It's the world. We let the world complicate things for us, and we just sit there and be like, ugh. Now we're sitting here depressed and
Yeah.
struggling with anxiety and all these type of things and depression because things are so complicated. And they don't have to be. So the first thing into making it like so simple is just like focusing on yourself. I tell people you're the most important. You know what I'm saying? The most important person to yourself is you. To the world is you. Because again, if you're not good, how can anybody else be good?
Yeah.
That's why I think people blur the lines oftentimes with like selfishness and selflessness. Oftentimes we're taught to like, hey, you should be selfless, and that selfish is like demonized, like, oh, you selfish, you selfish, you selfish. But I think it's like a fine line in between those, and it's just learning the balance between those.
I'm actually guilty of that. Like sometimes I'll look up and I feel like I'm just stretched so thin because I'm doing for this person, and I can't tell nobody no. So I want to be there for every single person, and then by the end of it all, I'm super exhausted and drained, and I'm like, I keep putting myself in this
And
position.
you pouring into other people's cups, and then
Yeah,
you realizing like they're not pouring back into your cup, and
definitely.
it's just like it's like the little thing where it's like instead of handing a brick to try to help build somebody else home, and then when they done, you ain't got no bricks because you don't gave them all to them trying to help them build a house. Now they got a house. Now they looking at you like, why you ain't got no house?
It's a perfect analogy.
I done
Perfect.
helped you build yours. You ain't even help me build mine. So again, it's just important to like recognize like when you like stretching yourself thin and realizing like it's nothing wrong with telling people no. Hey, like I can't do that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not your job to sit there and you know what I'm saying protect their feelings. If they can't understand like, hey, I'm not at capacity to do that, and they get all bent out of shape about it, man, they don't need to be in your life. You know, people gonna paint you as the villain no matter what you try to do to protect yourself. And I
That's
think it's
true.
understanding that and just like letting it be free because you're not gonna be perfect in everybody's story. Everybody
Yeah.
views you, and everybody gets access to a different part of you,
Hmm.
and you know what I'm saying. Some people gonna see like, oh, hey, this person does this for me all the time. Hey, anytime I ask this person, he don't never want to do it for me. It's just like you just catching me at the wrong times, or it's just and I'm at a place where I can't do specifically what you asking for.
True. Or
So
people will get in a position where they kind of milk it. Oh, this person always tells me yes, so let me keep on.
exactly, and again, that's why it's important to like learn when to be selfish because people definitely take advantage, and
Hmm.
that's just again, I feel like that's a taught behavior and human behavior to where we feel like that's natural to like just take advantage of situations, and that gets right manipulation at that point. Like the moment you tell that person no, they're like, "But man, you always told me yes." Like, it ain't really that much. I hate
What's
when
the difference now?
people don't know how to take no, and I've like come to like realize that like as like my 28 years on this planet, I realized people don't know how to take no. They always say, "Oh, you can just say no." It's false. I believe you just can't say no because that no then comes with the why.
Yeah.
And now you got to sit there and explain your no.
Or some
And
type of backlash, you know?
exactly, and it's just like no, like to me in this day and age, like if I tell you no, that's an answer. You don't need no nothing else behind that. You don't need no why or nothing like that. It's just my answer. No,
Hmm.
accept that. If you can't accept that, you gotta deal with that on your own. It ain't my job to sit there and try to fix that for you. And I don't gotta give you a I think that we too grown to sit there and me trying to give justifications for that
Yeah.
no.
And I
Like,
think you have to be okay with telling people no. It doesn't make you a bad person, you know, it doesn't make you any less, but sometimes that's just what needs to be done.
cause see, I think when people don't realize that when people ask that why, they're trying to see if it's excusable in their eyes.
Yeah.
So they're trying to see if like what you tell them, they're gonna sit there and try to come up with a solution so that you can give them a yes. And it's just like, no, you can't do that. If I tell you no because of my reasons, don't sit there and try to convince me otherwise because for you know what I'm saying, it's gonna benefit you, especially if it's not benefiting me. Because I think people don't realize that too. Like to be a genuine person and actually want to do something. Like if you don't want to do it and you tell somebody no, like why are you gonna sit there and try to force me to do something I don't want to do? Because now it's not gonna come off as genuine. Now I'm gonna feel like I need something in return instead of me just naturally wanting to do it and I don't need nothing in return. So I think people get that line blurred too because they feel like when people ask you for stuff, that's because they want something in return. And it's just it's not always the case. So I mean, again, it's learning the difference between selfishness and selflessness. Sometimes selfishness is needed. Everybody needs to be selfish sometimes. Don't make anybody make you feel differently about that. It's always the time to be selfless. Like if you notice somebody in the shopping lane and you've been there for a while, you ready to get out. You got a buggy full of food or whatever, clothes and stuff like that. You see somebody behind you with just one or two things. There's nothing wrong with being selfless. Like, hey, you can go ahead of me, or you know what I'm saying, helping somebody when you kind of can, but you kind of can't at the same time, and you just like, all right, well, let me try to just do what I can. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you know you in an absolute position not to, and it's gonna be detrimental to you to help them, don't try to be selfless then, because now you putting yourself in a bigger bind. And to be honest, expectations ruins things out of people. So if you expect that person to return that same favor, you're gonna be highly disappointed if they don't.
Yes.
And it's gonna hurt you. Now you're gonna feel some type of way when again, just because you'll do something for somebody don't mean they have to return that same energy.
And they
It's
won't operate the same way.
exactly, we're all individuals. So even though as nice as it would be to like have that reciprocated amongst one another, like if it you got to take the expectation out of it because if it don't happen, then you know what I'm saying, that person is not you. And I think oftentimes we dim our light with that, expecting people to do what we do. But that's what makes us special
Yeah.
is that we do that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to do that for me. Me helping you out when I can't and all that or whatever it may be, or being able to be in a situation and give that help. If I'm able to do that and stuff like that, like that's just me. To
'Cause
genuinely want to help you, to genuinely want to see you win, I don't expect that in return because again, that's what makes me special, not you. So it's just understanding those type of things.
I feel that. And putting an expectation on someone, I think, can leave you with, disappointment. You know, never put expectation on somebody. You can't. I don't think you should expect certain things from people because they're not going to operate the way that you operate.
Exactly. I think
Yeah.
I forget exactly word for word what he said, but I think Nipsey has a great analogy. He's like, don't put your expectations on me and expect me to live up to your expectation or your ideal of who I am. Because I'm gonna move and do how I want to do. And I think people miss that aspect of life too. Is like just because you have a picture painted up of me, don't mean I have to live up to whatever picture you painted me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm capable of failure. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna make my mistakes, but I don't need to be judged because of those. You know, and I think in a society like this, that's what's so detrimental to us. Is like we paint all these pictures of people, and then when people don't live up to it or they fall short of it, we're sitting there like, well, you're such and such. Why didn't you do that? Oh, you know what I'm saying? You disappointed me, and it's just like, man, I was living up to a picture I could never live up to. Like,
Where do you think these people get that sense of entitlement from? Because it's a lot of, people have a lot of entitlement.
I feel like this is passed on through generations.
Hmm.
And again, because it's again, we're not brought into this world with that idea. Because as kids, we're very innocent and we're very careless about stuff, and we don't really expect too much. We're disappointed with stuff because obviously, as a kid, you're told no. You're like, you throw a
Throw a
tantrum,
whole tantrum.
but like we're taught to like sit there and like, hey, you know what I'm saying? do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So naturally, you feel like I want somebody to sit there and take, you know what I'm saying, do this for me. You expect like, all right, if I do that, they gonna do it for me too, cause I'm showing love. But when they don't show their love back, you're like,
You know what? That is so true. Because I think everybody's mamas tell them what? Treat others how you want to be treated.
exactly. Sharing is caring.
So then you expect it
Yeah.
back.
Expectations is so detrimental. I don't think people
It's one of
really
the four
realize.
agreements. Have
It
you
is.
read that book?
I haven't.
It's a good book. I don't remember the three, but I know. Expectations, because that's the one that I was bad about, having expectations on people.
And that's why I was like, I relinquish any expectation of people. Like, just because you could call me at 3 in the morning and I'll go help you fix a tire because you caught a flat. I'm not gonna expect that same thing in return. Like, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
figure it out. I'm a type of person, like, regardless if I don't like leaning on other people for things, because I feel like if I call you, I'm not gonna be disappointed if you tell me no about it. Like, if I call you at 3 in the morning, you're just like, man, I'm still asleep. Da, da, da. I'm like, cool. It's not gonna make me look at you any different. I understand, like, you have free range to choose that, and I think that's what it is. Just respecting people's decision to choose for themselves. Now, it'd be nice. It's nice when people return that same energy and when they do exactly, you know what I'm saying, what you would like for them to do, but don't expect it,
Right.
because now that expectation comes into entitlement. Now I'm entitled. I feel like you need to be doing this because I'm doing this, and now it also breeds disappointment, because now if you don't do this, now I'm disappointed in you. Now I can't look at you the same way, and it's just like, again, painting that picture up that person could never live to, because you really paint an ideal picture of yourself, because you doing so much. You're like, all right, I'm showing this love, I'm doing this, I'm expecting this in return. I see how this person is. You're painting them, but then you're painting traits of them that you possess, that you do. So now, yeah, they can't live up to that because they not you.
That's true.
And it's just, again, detrimental. Eliminate them expectations. Expectations will always set you up for failure, and just accept reality sometimes. So accept that you can't control people, because I think that's what expectations come into. It's like it's a form of control. So I'm trying to control you in a manner. That's what comes in the not accepting no. So when you don't accept no and you want to ask why and you try to manipulate the situation to your benefit, you're trying to control. And humans have a bad thing of always trying to control everything.
Yes.
And it's just
Bossy. People are bossy.
very bossy and very like, it's so annoying when people get controlling like that, because it's just like, why you want me to live up? Like, why you want me to do this? Why are you trying to control me? I think that's the whole like idea behind like just being able to have free will.
Yeah. Freedom of choice.
Yeah,
Like,
freedom of choice. Like, why are you trying to control that? And I think that's what people have a problem with too, is just relinquishing that control. That's what makes things complicated too, trying to control everything. Control what you can control. Everybody wants to have that type of like, again, control. Because I've said this like 1,000 times. But this control around, like, you know what I'm saying, your life. But you got to accept there's a lot of stuff, like, especially involving people, that's out of your control. When you have a lot of people in your life, you can't expect them, even family members, to act a certain way because they're individuals. And I think that's detrimental to us too, is we always say like blood thicker than water. And we allow like toxic situations to breed because, oh, they family.
yeah.
That's my mama. Oh, that's my daddy. That's my brother and all that. I can't do them like that. But then you got to realize sometimes like the most toxic people the closest to you are your family.
And sometimes you just got to let the situation go.
It,
You know?
letting it go, because now at this point you complicating things. Things would be just so simple as far as like you just restricting access to you.
At the end of the day, you always have to do what's right for you, regardless of the situation. And I think people will feel guilty about doing that because they're like, dang, like you said, that's my mama or that's my daddy. But at the end of the day, what's best for you?
Cause judgment. That's what people are afraid of. Like, they're afraid of judgment. Like, you tell somebody like, man, yeah, man, I had to, like, you know what I'm saying, tell my mama like, hey, I can't do this for her no more. Like, right now, like, it's hurting me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to sit there and be like trying to take care of her. Bro, but that's your mama, bro. Like, and it's just like, it don't matter who that is to me. Like, if I'm not good, how can she be good? Like I'm sitting here pouring too much into her cup and she not pouring back.
And you know what? I think that also creates a form of dependency. You know, when you're doing so much for certain people, they start becoming dependent on you, you
And they
know?
stop doing for themselves.
Yeah, and then now you're a crutch for them.
Yeah, and then man, it's just hurtful sometimes because it's just like, again, I get it. Well, especially like if you're a genuine person who likes being helpful, you like helping other people. Like sometimes it hurts not being able to be in that position, but it's better than down the line if you recognize that they're like, hey, I just can't do it right now, and they're like, the moment I get better, I'm gonna try to spin the block and help you with whatever you want to. And if you get through it or find somebody else who helps you before, then that's cool too. But just at this present time, I just can't do it. And then this falls into like the category of like respecting people's opinions about stuff too. I think oftentimes we ruffle our feather over people's opinions, especially on social media, because social media is the biggest place where that happens.
Whew.
Like people always get their feathers ruffled over like opinions that they don't agree with. Like somebody could be like, "Oh, well, I think he was right for doing this," and somebody be like, "But what about these people? What about this? What about that?" And it's just like, bro, your opinions don't make you right. Like you gonna get people who agree with you, just like you gonna get people who don't agree with you. But I think respecting people's opinions is just super important because I think can't. It was an interview on Vlad TV. It just started circulating again with Benzino, and he was talking about the Lil Nas X situation. And you know what I'm saying, talking about like people like him and Boosie who like kind of don't agree with it. And he was like, but he's like, it's cool because he's like, it's my opinion. That don't make it right. He's like, I'm allowed to have an opinion on it. And the dude was like, no, you're not. And I'm like, what you mean? No, he not.
Absolutely, you
Like
are.
just because I don't agree with whatever, you know what I'm saying, he was doing, that don't mean that I can't have an opinion on it. And again, I feel like that's that social media type of thing. That's this society type of thing where now your opinions are like they can make or break you. So if you have an opinion about something and the world don't agree with you, or like a lot of people don't agree with you, they can essentially close you out.
I was gonna say, like, cause you said close you out. Like, people are not open minded. You have your opinion, and it's my opinion only. So everybody's supposed to agree with me. But you could be open minded to the situation. You know, there's all sides, there's all perspectives. So if you cannot, you know, just look at other perspectives, that'll help.
I
Look
mean,
at
it's just really is because of cancer culture. That
mm,
has become so detrimental in this day and age
so
now.
big.
And in this decade, especially, like, oh, I'm gonna cancel you because I don't agree with what you saying. It's cool. Like, hey, if I don't agree with you and I don't really rock with you, I don't have to sit there and try to make other people agree with me to sit there and cancel you. I can
Hmm.
just decide not to support you.
Yeah.
Well, what's it hurting me to just like, hey, I don't really rock with what that person said, and that's my choice. Why do I need a following of people to do it with me? And I think that's what happens. People try to hop on the internet and try to rile up a whole bunch of people to like, hey, this person said this. We need to cancel him. Let's, you know what I'm saying? Let him show us our power and stuff like that. It's just, ah,
It's a lot of ringleaders and followers.
uh, a lot of them. And it's just like, man, everything's a touchy subject nowadays. You can't really like,
You can't say anything.
you
It's
really can't
very sensitive.
uh, about everything. It's just like I think people forget, especially coming from our generation, like where we come from. Back in the day, where like stuff was very like open and very like people weren't judging. And
Yeah.
it's not to say people weren't hurt in the crossfire of that because, I mean, back when we were younger, like if you were gay, like that was looked on as a very bad thing. And it's not to say that gay people don't still go through ridicule now, but it's still like you can't make me agree with you. Like if I don't support you, you know what I'm saying, whatever you're doing, like the little Nas X situation. If I don't support you grinding on man and doing what like some women do like on stages when they perform and all that, and I just think it's too much, that's my opinion.
That's just solely your opinion.
Yeah, that
That's
don't
it.
make me wrong, but you know what I'm saying? If you're gonna sit there and cancel me over that and you basically saying I'm wrong and you gonna sit there and be like you can't voice an opinion, like What you trying to minimize my voice? Like, especially if I like, oh, I just don't agree with it. I don't mind him being gay. People always try to make you seem homophobic,
Yeah.
transphobic, and all that.
It's
And I
not
think
that. You just don't agree with certain actions, you know?
exactly, and I think
That's
people
it.
really confuse the word phobic. Like
Mm.
that's a fear of like I'm scared of you. I don't have to. I'm not scared of you. I just don't agree with you.
Like
And
we could
again,
be sitting in the same room, chilling and all of
this
that.
isn't to say like, oh, I'm specifically saying this is my thoughts about this particular situation. Just letting people know. I mean, I don't care what you do. At the end of the day, that's your opinion. But I'm saying as far as like how cancer culture just takes that to like the utmost, like 100% of like, oh, but you don't agree with that? Cool, cancel. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you sponsored by this person? We can get this person cancel. Like, man, companies drop people left and right over
Quick.
very quick. Oh, the people said that you did this, so we gotta let you go. It's just like, bruh.
It's like there's no room for any mistakes either. Like you can't make one wrong move.
It's expecting people to be perfect. But it's again to say, I understand ignorant situations.
Hmm.
Like a while back when the baby had his situation where he was on stage, he was saying what he was saying. That wasn't rooted in like, oh, an opinion. That was just kind of ignorant on his behalf because he wasn't like, you know what I'm saying, speaking from a place of like, I just don't agree with them for doing this. He basically put people on the spot and just was just yelling a whole bunch of stuff. Now that's when it comes with like, I still don't feel like that's phobic, but that's still like rooms to like, hey, bro, you was kind of out of pocket for that. But yeah, again, that's how you feel. I feel like once you make people go through like the little fake apology type of thing, like it's still not genuine. Like, oh, I done sit there and like sit down with multiple people and I educated myself and now I understand why I was wrong. Like it's not real. It's not genuine because I really be feeling like them people still feel the way they feel. Like the baby probably
That's
still
your
feel like that,
opinion. Like,
and it's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate somebody who can stand by it. Like be real about yours. Like I don't want you to hide behind anything. Like Donald Trump. I can respect the fact that like he in your face about it. He ain't hiding that.
not a single
I
thing.
don't I don't like you, but that don't mean that I don't like have some type of respect for you to just stand there by yours. Even Dave Chappelle on his situation, not backing down and not being afraid to like speak his mind. Cause again, that's his opinion. That's how he feel. He not backtracking. He not sitting there making, you know what I'm saying, stuff that ain't genuine. Like he's actually genuine about his like, hey, y'all not finna make me apologize. Like I'm apologize about how I feel in my beliefs. And again, people just take bits and chunks out of things and just like, oh, this is what I have a problem with. Instead of taking stuff in its entirety. Because again, that's usually what they do with stuff. They always chop it up and try to bend it to their will.
You got the cancel culture, but you also have the Me Too movement.
Exactly. Again, this is just centering back to the point of just respect people's opinions. Everybody gonna feel the way they feel about stuff, and they don't make any one person right or wrong. If you don't agree with somebody and you feel like that's detrimental to your friendship or like whatever, you can kind of politely walk away. But people don't have to always agree with you. Respect that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna this world would be so weird if it'd be so uniform that everybody disagreed. Like, oh yeah, this is wrong. Oh, this is right. Like that's what makes us human beings. That's what again is free will. Is our ability to choose and decipher information and just make our own thoughts about it and form our own opinions. If you can't respect somebody's opinions, you're kind of childish at this point because that's a little kid thing to. You're wrong. You know what I'm saying? No. Hey, I'm grown. Some what I get from this.
I actually like listening to other people's opinions because I get to hear their perspective or their side, you know?
It helps you grow because now
Hmm.
like somebody might say something that you thought about for a long time. You was like, I ain't really with that, and they explain it in a way where you like, what, you know what, I ain't never thought about it like that,
Yeah.
and it makes you like, you know what I'm saying, get out your own way sometimes. So again, that's why opinions are very needed. That's why opinions should be respected because you never know what new insight somebody can give you based on how they view things. And again, that's why group projects are like so beneficial because everybody has a different perspective. They come together, get the work done. You know, that's how opinions should be. Everybody has a different opinion. How we can sit there and get this work done. So again, that goes into respecting people's opinions. Now we're getting into breathing. sometimes you just really need to breathe. That's what complicate things too. Not breathing right. Just sitting there like always. I realized I didn't breathe that much when my phone would tell me sometimes like, "Hey, breathe."
Your phone tells you that?
Yeah, my watch,
Your
my
watch?
Apple
Oh
Watch,
my
it said, "Don't forget
goodness.
to breathe."
Mm.
And it's just like sometimes we really don't stop to take the minute to just sit there and like,
And breathe the correct way.
exactly. And it's just don't always. I feel like that's how we get knotted up. That's why I like when you go to like a massage therapist and all that, like, oh, your body's full of knots. You ain't breathing. You sitting there letting the world stress you out, bend you out of shape. You holding everything in. And I think that's what helps with like even decision making is like breathing before you make that decision. Like just like, all right, let me figure this out.
Because everything is energy. So that's just a lot of bottled up energy, inside of your body. You got to breathe. Get it out.
Exactly. Don't let the
Let it
world
out.
pressure you into feeling like you're behind on things too. Because I think that's what the biggest thing with breathing is. Because we always feel like we're out of time with stuff. Oh man, society places such a limit on things like, oh, I need to be graduated by a certain time. I need to be married with kids by a certain time. I need to have a certain financial status at a certain time. And it's just like social media really blurs those lines now because now you sit there and go on there and see somebody who's 16 who's
A millionaire.
millionaire, somebody who in school who's 20 something who got married already and has kids and they travel and stuff like that. Like it's setting unrealistic expectations because everybody's running their own marathon. Everybody's going through their own journey. Like,
And there's no rule book that says you have to get these things by a certain time.
because a lot of people who are like billionaires now are like who have stuff that they passed on. They discovered that in like they 50s. Like what KFC started, the Colonel was like 50 something years old when he started that.
Oh, dang. I didn't
Yeah,
know
like
that.
bro, people get they start when they need to get they start. A lot of
Yeah.
people who are especially in their 20s back in the day, they was broke. They was sleeping in cars, and I think especially nowadays with like the way college has just kind of like messed up the game to where like they feel like you supposed to be struggling, you supposed to because everybody's done did it at this point. That is just it makes you stressed out about everything. Like, man, I need to hurry up and get this done. It's because everything has a due date,
Yeah.
and you feel like, all right, that's how you apply that same aspect to life. Like, all right, this has a due date. I need to get this done by then. And for like, all right, like the marriage situation, as a woman, it's kind of unfortunate because you really can't marry who you want to marry because you can say yes or no, but it's a man's job to initiate marriage, right?
Basically.
And if you propose to a man, he might. I think I've seen a funny
I've
video,
seen a couple of them surfacing
and it's
lately.
just like it's weird, but it's understandable for y'all why y'all want to move fast because y'all had that biological clock. You know what I'm saying? You want to have kids by a certain time because hey, you know what I'm saying? If you have kids after a certain time, like the higher chance of like you know what I'm saying your death and you know what I'm saying that child coming out with a deficiency or something like that or a defect is higher. But you shouldn't sit there and use that as excuse to settle or
Right.
rush things.
Or stress
I
yourself
mean,
over it.
not everybody meant to have kids at a certain time. Some people are meant to be that rich auntie. You know what I'm saying? Even as a man, you might not be meant for kids, bro. Like, accept that. Don't be sitting out here having kids with people and then just, hey, this ain't working out. I'm bouncing. Like,
Now you
bro,
got kids all over the place.
now you got kids. You got a whole basketball team running around and you only know about 3 of them.
Uh oh.
You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate, and that happens to any man. We will not have no bashing on here about black men doing that or Mexican man doing that because all races of men do that. It's unfortunate, and it needs to change. But just gotta make that very clear. If you don't know something, learn it. That's another big thing. That makes things very very simple as well. Uh, don't go through life ignorant.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. Like, if you don't know something, just don't be like,
And close your mind off to it. There's always room to grow. There's always opportunities to grow. And with this being like the information age that we're in, information is everywhere. Knowledge is everywhere.
exactly.
You know?
You got to realize no matter how old you are, you'll never learn everything there is to life. Like, things will always change. And as life progresses, things will change up on you. So you're forever a student to the game of life. Like, things will always be different. So, I mean, just accept that and, roll with the punches. And then every action has a consequence, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it comes from like you feeling like you making a good decision, it has a consequence that comes with it. You know what I'm
Every
saying?
action has a reaction. It's like a universal law.
Accept that. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like don't let that like make you feel bad. Like if you come across a bad consequence for making your decision, because sometimes we just like we get too caught up in it, and I feel like it becomes detrimental to our lives. Like, oh, this has a bad consequence. Sometimes them consequences be growing pains.
Yeah, because I don't even like to look at stuff as good or bad. I don't like to put labels on it. If something, in our eyes would be bad, I look at it as a room to grow, or what can I learn from this? It's a lesson. There's always something beneficial from either side of the spectrum, whether it's, good or bad in your eyes. So I never try to be like, ooh, this is so bad, and then get down on it. Because then you get in, that's how you can fall into like depression and stress and stuff. But when you look at a situation and you try to learn from it and grow from it, that's how you take the positives from situations like that.
Definitely. And again, like rolling through those consequences, whether good or bad, is also a part of again relinquishing control. Accept things that are out of your control, people and everything like that, and control what you can control. And you know,
Don't stress yourself when you can't control
don't throw yourself out.
it.
Again, this is all things to just uncomplicate things, because again, things could be so simple, but yet we make things harder than what they are.
Come on, Lauren Hill.
Hey, you already know, and it's just like I feel because we moving through life and we want our life to be a certain way. Everybody has that ideal life that they want. They in college sometimes. I remember when I first came to college, they make you write out like a page or a paper on like your ideal world or your ideal life. So everybody has their aspect of what they feel like is their ideal life, but you can't let that like what I'm saying warp you into like, oh, this is how this needs to be right now. Everything falls in place how it needs to. The universe or God always provides a way. You know what I'm saying? Everything happens in the time that it needs to.
Yeah.
And I think that goes along with not rushing things. Like sometimes we just feel like time is just, you know what I'm saying?
Sometimes you gotta trust the journey. Just trust the journey, and when you release that control and you just allow things to happen, life gets a lot easier that way. Instead of trying to, always have your hand in everything and try to control everything, just allow it to be.
Because then this is my thing too about time. It's not long, but it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's short too. It's short, long, depending on like how you make it. Life is too short when it comes down to being angry,
Yeah.
depressed, you know what I'm saying, resentful, all these type of things about like stuff that's not either going right, people that's not in your life, you know what I'm saying, people who you want in their life that ain't there, blase, blase, like, you know what I'm saying, enjoy your life, be happy, like, love one another, spread peace. That's why I always tell people peace, love, and happiness, because again, I feel like that's your key to happiness, right? That's your key to like enjoying your life as is.
Yeah.
It's just like spreading love around. Like when somebody don't want to, when somebody like probably having a bad day, they need that love being spread to them. Like even if it's just like telling people like a random stranger like you run into like, hey man, I hope you have a good day today. They might need to hear that. You know what I'm saying? They might be going through a terrible day. And, yo, hey, hope you have a good day. Like help them out. And I know that sounds cliche, but again, like that's just a part of spreading positivity.
Or
Cause
even complimenting somebody when you see them. You never know how they're feeling, and then that compliment
see, I feel like the world
makes
has
their day.
corrupted that in a sense too. Cause like now, like men have this idea if a woman compliments them, oh, she must want me. And then women have an idea if a man compliments them, then they being too thirsty. Oh, he thirsty. You know what I'm saying? Or
Dang,
like he
really?
rude. And it's I feel like man's thing is more so like sometimes they come off the wrong way, and it's just like it's disrespectful to sit there and approach a woman like, hey ma, or like you know what I'm saying, hey like let me talk to you, and a woman's favorite response is like my name ain't hey, but it's just like I don't know your name, so I'm just trying to tell you like you look, you know what I'm saying, you looking nice today and all that, and like move about your business, but I feel like some men don't know how to do that either. just like, hey, I think you looking like gorgeous today, and then move about their business.
I've had dudes do that. You know, they just come and be like, I just want to tell you you're beautiful. And then they go on about their business. I'd be like, dang, that was so nice.
Yeah, cause see,
Nothing came after
and then see though that, and that's the type of like, see how you was like, oh, that's really nice. We don't know how like little words like impact people. It can be so simple. It's
Like, so
part of
simple.
the part of simple. It's just like, hey, hope you have a good day today. Hey, you looking nice today. Hey, I like your shoes. Hey, I like your shirt. Like, man, it makes you feel good. So you know what I'm saying? Just spread peace, love, and happiness to people. Understand emotions are temporary too. Like I think sometimes we always trying to rush stuff, and like we make bad decisions based off like emotions that are temporary. Like when we're
Yeah.
angry, we always want to
Retaliate.
retaliate. Yeah, we always want to, you know what I'm saying, get back, be vengeful when like people do stuff to us, and sometimes it's just best to like leave the situation alone. Just sit there, take that time, and breathe.
Breathe. Look, I'll
You know what I'm
breathe
saying?
through the
And breathe
situation.
and just like, come back to a situation. If you know right now you're in an emotional state, there's nothing wrong with taking a break away from that situation and coming back to it later. Because you're not going to make the best decision when you're in that emotional state. And that comes with whatever that decision requires, like whether it's money, whether it's, you know what I'm saying, family members, whether it's friends, anything, especially money. You know what I'm saying? When we make bad money decisions when you emotional, you like, oh, it's impulsive.
Yeah.
And you just acting at that time, and it's not it's
Go on a whole shopping spree.
yeah,
Yeah.
go on a whole shopping spree. Now the money gone. You can't get that back unless you take it back, and that's if some stores have return policies. But even like the anger part, like you sit there, somebody make you angry, y'all get into it. Shit, you knock their ass out or something. They hit that ground, they head slam back. Now they dead.
You always end up regretting thing when you make actions from emotions. You usually end up regretting that stuff later. So that's why you gotta sit back and take time to
Cause how
reflect.
many people probably sitting in jail right now and they was like, damn, I really
Yep.
shouldn't have did that at that time. Like I
Yep.
was really, you ain't even feeling like that no more. Like those emotions are so temporary. Like 10, 20 minutes later after you done let this situation, you're not even feeling like that no more. But
Mhm.
because you acted out at that time, now those consequences are coming in. Now you gotta like deal with the consequences that came with your actions. So a part of, you know what I'm saying, understanding consequences, good and bad, is also learning how to channel your emotions, learning how like, hey, I'm not in a good emotional headspace to deal with whatever may come with these. So let me just take a break, and I'm gonna come back to it, and then I'm gonna make the best decision based on how I'm feeling now. And
Breathe. Like you gotta learn to breathe through situations. Even meditation comes into play with that. Like if you're angry or something, go sit down and meditate. Think
yeah,
about the situation and breathe through it.
I mean that's why in school they tell you like when you hey go to timeout. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's kind of they put you in the corner, it's still like it's giving you time to like reflect and think about it, and that's a part of emotional health. It's like taking the time to like wonder why you feeling like that, figure it out, embrace it, go through those feelings, and then let it go. So that's the part with taking the time is just,
Because
hey, why am I angry? Okay, this person did this to me. You know what I'm saying? How can I let me feel this? Let me like go scream in the pillow. Let me just go like do something to like get this anger off of me. All right, it's gone now. All right, let me come back to the situation. You know what? I don't like what you did. So either we can talk about this to come to a solution, or I'm just telling you this to let you know, like, me and you not cool no more. Or just walk away from the situation altogether and just like, you know what? I'm not doing deal with this person no more. And that's again can be so simple, but we as human beings we love making things complicated. That's a part of life. That's a unfortunately. And these are just like little tips and tricks and like, you know what I'm saying, talks to like help y'all like kind of simplify your life a little more, uncomplicate things a little more. It's not to say your life will be completely uncomplicated.
right.
Some things get very complicated that are again out of your control, and you got to deal with those the best way you can. Uh,
But it's okay to feel emotions. It's okay to be angry or sad or upset. We're human, so it's natural. But learning how to work through them is the thing.
learning how to work through them. Again, learning how to voice your emotions sometimes. Like, hey, this made me uncomfortable. This made me feel some type of way. I feel like oftentimes we don't know how to voice our emotions, And that's so bad, especially as men. Man, we don't know how to voice our emotions at all. Because again, we're taught like,
Suppress
yeah,
it.
suppress it, be tough about it. Like ain't nobody gonna really understand. Somebody gonna tell me I'm being a bitch for being emotional or something like that. And just it's hard to be vulnerable too. Like after you being taught this, because now like if you're vulnerable, somebody else might not appreciate that. They take advantage of that. Now it's really making you cold hearted. So that's why sometimes I tell people too. Like sometimes you got to be careful with like letting the world corrupt you, because if you're like generally a nice person, if you like open up quickly to people, if you like, you know what I'm saying, do stuff and like, you know what I'm saying, people like might take advantage of, and you realize that and you cut them off and you're like, damn, don't let the world corrupt you to make you change that. Cause that's who you are. You know what I'm saying? Don't make the world just because other people didn't appreciate that make you feel any type of way.
Because there's people out there that will appreciate it.
Exactly. It's definitely people out there who appreciate it. So just understand that. So again, it's also goes back to, you know what I'm saying? Respect other people's opinions. You can have them. There's nothing wrong with it. Some opinions can be ignorant. Opinions can be educated. And it's a whole bunch of in between on that. And everybody's entitled to those. So just respect those. And just, you know, some people gonna agree with you, some not. You know, breathe. Breathing goes back to everything that we just talked about as far as like channeling your emotions, not acting on emotional decisions, and just letting life, you know what I'm saying, you going on your journey in the time that you need to. All right, don't
Sorry.
die now.
Sorry, my bad.
You all good. Uh, I think that too, like, man, just breathing when you feel like you rushed about stuff, like it's gonna get done when it gets done. It's not to say you're gonna put it off. You're not gonna procrastinate, you're gonna get it done. As long as you know that you yourself are gonna get it done, I feel like that's all that matters. So don't rush yourself. You know what I'm saying? Don't let life rush you. You know, get to where you need to get to. You're gonna marry who you need to marry. If marriage is your route, you're gonna have kids when you need to have kids, if kids are your route. You're gonna have that successful business or any type of success that you want if that is your route. And just, you know,
You just have to learn to block out the expectations that other people put on you.
exactly.
You know.
You're gonna reach your destinations when you need to, because if you reach them too early, you might not be prepared for them. And I feel like that's why the journey is super important, because that journey sits there and prepares you for everything you ask for. So if you ready for kids, you know what I'm saying, you might end up getting a pet first and realize like, man, fuck them kids. I don't want to deal with them kids. So, you know what I'm saying? Now you on a different path. Or mm, dealing with that dealing with that pet or taking care of your nieces and nephews might make you realize like, man, I definitely can do this, and it gets you ready. So when you do have kids, you already know like, I dealt with this with my nephew. I already know how to handle this. So again, appreciate the journey. Everything happens in the time it needs to. Understand that that time is preparing you for whatever you asking for. So just breathe and go with the flow.
So simple.
So simple. So again, this has been Jesse the Truth.
See, Erica.
This has been the Growth Podcast. So peace, love, and happiness. See you again soon.